So I thought the best way to start today would be to share the top three things that I am asked about child-led learning. That includes what exactly is child-led learning? What is the adult's role in child-led learning? I think there's a lot of misconceptions about what that can look like. And then finally, in regards to homeschooling, in how to use child-led learning in conjunction with curriculum and if that's even possible. Hi, my name is Alisa. I am a former public school teacher. During my time in the classroom, I was mostly an early childhood special education teacher. I also have some experience from my time working as a speech language pathologist assistant. But in short, I spent my time supporting our smallest and most vulnerable learners. I championed trauma-informed teaching practices, as well as play-based learning and child-led learning. I was a homeschool student for 1 year. And looking back and knowing what I know now, I wish I had continued it. And with my own children, I wish I had continued homeschooling. And since leaving the classroom, I find it best to utilize my experience in education as a homeschool tutor and coach so that I can support the families that really need it so that they can keep homeschooling. I'm excited to be able to reach more families with this child-led boot camp. All right, so we'll start with the first most frequent question I get is, what is child-led learning? Well, it's very simple as that it is what it sounds like. It is giving the child a part in their own education. So we think of typically our adult mindset, and we think of teaching and education, we do think of like an adult being in charge, and maybe I had an education professor who called it the sage on the stage, that the expert parting their wisdom to people who aren't experts. But in child-led learning, we change this kind of model. We recognize that they aren't just a sponge that's going to absorb the information we're presenting to them. We guide their education in a different way. We listen to their voice and work with them at meeting their goals. When it comes to homeschooling, the first time I ever saw and read things about unschooling, and how I see most parents implementing unschooling, is that that's child-led learning. They're looking at what their child's interests are and saying, oh, well, this is how I accomplish their reading. We're reading about dinosaurs because they're interested in dinosaurs. Or their child has decided that they want to go to college for a certain medical profession. And so this parent is jumping into what's the best way to prepare them for those higher level math and science courses. Child-led learning is just, as the most simple part, is what it sounds like. You're taking that child's specific interests into account. And I think there's a lot of confusion about that kind of plays into the next point, which is what the adult's role is. And I think my next question, that what the adult's role is, stems from the fact that we have to change our mindset and change what we see education and learning as. A lot of us are very much stuck in our own experiences and thinking of, oh, well, this teacher is in charge. We're thinking about adult-directed learning, and we have to attack that first so that we can see where we fit in this different way of learning. So rather than just being fully in charge, adults, I think, first need to think about that they're not doing nothing. And that's something that they feel a lot of. I know my first job, where I had to have half of my lesson plan had to be child-led learning, I was kind of like shocked. I was like, what am I supposed to do? I feel like I'm doing nothing. But you very much can focus on what type of environment the child has to learn in. So, what are they being surrounded to with the toys and the books and the enrichment opportunities? And so we have to look and do a little more work to create the opportunities for their learning rather than just sit down and listen to me. Let's do this, like kind of old model and adult directed. So as you're observing your child, you can also ask them what interests them, like present, like, would you like to try a soccer team or would you like to try a karate class? If they're more art inclined, ask them, would they like to paint something or would they like to try pottery? If they're writers, do you want to write stories or would you like to have a pen pal to correspond with? So there's just a few of the ways that adults have a role in their child-led learning. So this is the question I get asked from homeschool families is, then they do this child-led learning with a curriculum. A lot of times I know parents are feeling a little shaky on the planning, and the curriculums can be great for that. So using a curriculum does not mean that you can't use some child-led learning principles. So back into the year I was homeschooled, it was not my choice. My brother was not able to read. They kept passing him into third grade, and they weren't providing any help so that he could learn to read. My parents pulled us both from school, and as part of trying to avoid trouble and part of like to help them manage it all, they actually enrolled us in what was called a satellite school program through a private school in another state. On paperwork, we were just private school students in this other state. So it helped with that worry, but it also helped with my high school transcript. It meant that there wasn't going to be any issues when it came to me graduating on time if I went back to this high school that was in our town. So part of what I liked about this is that, yes, I had to do my required like core academic math, science, all of that, but I got to choose any and all electives and extracurricular activities. And I took full advantage of that. I did art, music, physical education, French, and shorthand. I was not very good at shorthand, but I would not have had the opportunity to do that many extra things. I believe my public high school limited you to 2 electives. And so I also had the opportunity to just pick my schedule and pick how long I worked on things. Like I finished my literature class so fast because I loved it. I didn't love the remedial math that I had to do based on their testing. They showed that I didn't have math skills to keep going. And so between that and the world history class that I hated, I was able to have my dad involved more. And how he did this is he showed me how to take the number of weeks and days that I had school, the number of chapters of pages, and to divide them out. And this was such an amazing life skill that I have taken with me everywhere, to just be able to plan your own project. So he definitely showed what is my now favorite teaching strategy of scaffolding. He showed me how to do it. And then every week he kind of gave me less of a framework until he was like, okay, do it on your own this week. And he checked in. He was like, yep, I covered enough pages. I had covered enough information to keep going on time. So looking back, I really wish I had been able to keep that, because I did like to be able to get up and go for a walk or ride my bike and walk our dogs whenever I wanted to. And so that's the freedom of homeschooling and really meeting your own needs that I wish I had kept up with. So I am excited to share my freebie. It is on my website, choosing the numeral 2 thrive.com. So it came out of the second most frequent request I had for tutoring. First is always reading. Second is handwriting. So messy handwriting, of course, I want their writing to be legible, but it's very difficult to target in a tutoring session once a week, especially if they don't have the fine motor strength and stamina to form letters consistently and accurately. So I came up with a fine motor menu. It's several options that you can just print out. I like it when it's laminated and they can just mark off the 3 things that they did every day. Um, it comes from a lot of inspiration from occupational therapists I've worked with, that you just give kids choices of things that will work those fine motor muscles. And so even if they're a little bit resistant to doing that work, there's something that they're going to, like, and they're going to get some more fine motor strength and stamina that's just going to build and make easier handwriting lessons later. Um, Again, it's at choosing2thrive.com. Feel free to reach out on my website with any questions about child-led learning. I hope you enjoyed this workshop as much as I enjoyed making it for you. Have a nice day.